Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so what I'm trying to figure out right now, now that we have some understanding of what the Lakers roster will be, I think they may add one or more piece. Not sure if it'll be substantial or not, but I'll go by what we have thus far, um, being that we have about, 15, 14 roster spots. The team's almost done. So, and the Nets, I look at their situation, their team, and I say their team is almost done as well. Um, so, I've been on the record saying that I think the Brooklyn Nets would beat us in the 7 game series. Um, at this point, I'd like to figure that out even further. See if I actually see it that way now that some things have kind of formed since I made that decision to say that. And I'll tell you this. Um, I still think the Nets have the edge in the series as of right now if both teams were to go up against each other healthy. But the framework for the Lakers to make me look foolish is in place. It is in place, and I see it. And the reason why it's in place and I see it, the reason why I see it that way is because of this. Anthony Davis. Who's guarding him? Who is guarding Anthony Davis? When I look at that Brooklyn Nets team, I say they've done a good job, a better job than people realize, of finding players that can be productive out of nowhere. They found them. They found a power forward. They found shooting guards. They found different players. They got some guys in the draft. They have done a damn good job in making sure they are a deep team. So it's not just about, for them, the players that they've signed and the superstars, but also how well their scouts have been doing. For us, I'd say the same thing. Both teams have done a good job of making sure they have really, really, really good young talent, so that if their big guys, their older guys, have to miss a game or two, which they will, they'll have some young guys that they can throw in and out of the lineup throughout the season that can keep them fresh, help them manage, whatever they need to manage to make sure that they're healthy through the end of the season. I think the Lakers have done that too. Even though we have a much older team as it pertains to the core and the big, and the main guys coming off the bench. I think we have some youth in some key areas that we'll need it against that team. The thing about it is this. What you want when you're going up against the Brooklyn Nets is to understand before anything else that no matter how many points you're capable of putting up on the board, they can put up just as many, if not more. So if we believe we're capped out at putting up maybe 127 points, like that's the most points we think we can put up, we got to be able to automatically assume that it'll take about 130 points to beat them. That's what we have to, we got to think that way. Because of the greatness of a James Harden and Kyrie Irving and, of course, Kevin Durant, coupled with the amazing shooting of a guy like Joe Harris, of whom still on their team. And they have some guys surrounding their bench, like Bruce Brown, who's taking some steps forward. Obviously Blake Griffin, who had a big year for where he is in his career. He really bounced back strong. And, DeAndre Jordan, who's really hasn't had a whole lot to do over the last several years. I think he's going to be asked to do much more this year than he's probably has in the past. And Patty Mills, who's a big-time shot maker. We saw what he could do in the Olympics. They got plenty of guys. I think LaMarcus Aldridge would likely choose them since he's talking about coming back. Congratulations to him. Of getting the news that he was hoping to hear so that he can continue his career. I think he's choosing between the Lakers and the Nets, but he played his last basketball with the Nets. They didn't, there's no reason for him to choose the Lakers, in my opinion, at this point. So, all in all, I think that the Lakers can win this series. If they're going to win this series, the way they're going to win it is by the domination of Anthony Davis. Really what it comes down to is this. We know that LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are going to attack the hell out of Kyrie Irving and KD, respectively. They're going to rush at these dudes. They're going to try to get them in foul trouble. they're going to do everything they can to have a team defensive effort against them. We don't expect to have too much success there. So what we got to do in terms of defense against them is to drive at them, try to get them in foul trouble, etc. We got the right players for that. Russell Westbrook is a hyper-aggressive player, and the type of role that I think he should have in a series like that is attack, attack, attack. Simple as that, attack. The thing that's going to really work for us this year that we haven't had in the past is a hyperactive point guard who's constantly moving, constantly looking to get the ball into places for people to score the basketball. We didn't have that last year. We had Dennis Schroeder running the point, and the only real facilitator we had was LeBron James. That ain't work. It didn't work. Now we got Russell Westbrook, who is one of the best assist men in the game. Bron could come off the ball, get hockey assists, things of that nature. And it's going to look better than people think if they're able to hit their threes, and if Russell protects the basketball a bit better than he has in the past, as well as, of course, better shot selection. I don't really care too much if he's not really making a bunch of shots. I just would want him to scale back on attempting as many shots if he's not making them early on. That's the type of thing we need to do, run through Anthony Davis. The key to the Lakers is no empty possessions. You know, with a guy like Russell Westbrook and all the Hall of Fame type players that we have on our team, there shouldn't be too many excuses to have empty possessions. Shouldn't be. We should be on point. We should be. These are veterans and good shooters. So turnovers are going to be something that I expect Frank Vogel to keep an eye on all season long. And free throw shooting. Even though we have fantastic shooters in certain areas, at the end of the day, 2 out of our 3 stars are not good free throw shooters in LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. So I would think that it would be an emphasis on those guys to keep that side of the basketball very much in mind, because that could be the difference between a lot of success and some failure. You know, it really can be. But, you know, do I think we can guard KD and Kyrie and Hart? No. They're going to drop 30 apiece on us or more. However, that's about 100 points, 110 points. We can match that. And not only can we match that, but we got shooters who can plow on top of that, just like they do. They got their Joe Harris. We got like 3 of them, to be completely honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, we really do. When you talk about the type of shooters that we picked up, we have more shooting than them. Outside of their big 3, of course. You know, they have the best shooting team over there because of the big 3 plus Harris. But after that, we actually have more shooters coming at you from different angles than they do. So, like, that's the thing, you know what I mean? They have some non-shooters on their roster too. People don't realize they don't have Jeff Green. He took off. They're gonna miss him. They replaced him with James Jones. That's not an upgrade. Not. But I don't think he's gonna have a big role. Not this year, you know. But that's the point. It's like, I think it'll help them in the sense that they'll have someone to throw out there on defense. They'll be a better team because of James Johnson, But I don't think that that's going to be enough to offset what the Lakers are going to be bringing at you from a bench perspective. Because we got a hell of a bench too. You know, like a hell of a bench. I think the only thing that concerns me about the Lakers is the lack of athleticism in the forward spots. But they don't have a whole lot of athleticism in the forward spots. So it's like, you know, I think Claxton could take a step forward. I like the role that he could possibly have down there. Maybe they continue to make some moves. I don't know. But like the Brooklyn Nets, they have a solid team. Of course, outside of their stars, which is all worldly. But like their team, remove those guys, it's okay. You remove our stars, you remove their stars. I like our team. Straight up. I like our team. You remove their big 3, you remove the Laker big 3. We're older, but we have more shooting. We have more defensive rebounding. Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony. Our older guys are probably going to be more productive than their older guys. Remove the stars, of course. You're talking about like guys like Carmelo Anthony, Wayne Ellington, Bazemore. You know, those guys I expect to be much more productive. And Dwight Howard, like those are going to be productive players. So the Lakers are just going to be attacking you from different angles. And then the thing about our bench is you got to understand, as soon as our non-shooters sit down in LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, you got to deal with shooters coming off the bench. Now you got to deal with your Wayne Ellingtons. Now you got to deal with your Malik Monks. You got to deal with Kendrick Nunn. Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn alone are terrifying if you got to deal with them if you're on the second unit. A second unit having to deal with those two talented players? See, that's the thing. I don't think people realize when the stars sit down with the Lakers, your problem's going to start. Your problem's going to start because a guy like Kendrick Nunn's going to be looking to score a lot of points really quickly because he got to go sit back down. A guy like Malik Monk's going to be coming in to shoot a lot quickly because likely he's going to have to sit back down. Wayne Ellington, same thing. So those guys, the shooters, are going to be looking to shoot. And because you have to double team some of our other guys, like AD, obviously, LeBron James, obviously, you're giving shooters open shots. Guys who have something to prove because they're in one-year contracts. I have guys who are hungry because they want to win championships. Guys who may have pride in what it is that they're doing more so than average because they've already been Lakers. Some of them most of those guys had good times with the Lakers, won championships with the Lakers. So I look at it and I say, Rob Pelinka did an amazing job with the limited cap space that he had because he brought in guys who were going to come in and outplay those contracts. He didn't just pick up scrubs, anybody who would be willing to take that money. We were luckily able to grab guys who would fit what we do and who would complement us when our stars sit down. And that's ultimately the name of the game. You figure it like this. Kyrie Irving is an isolation player. James Harden, isolation player. KD, isolation player. They had come together last year to make it work. But they didn't play a whole lot of ball together. I don't expect them to play a whole lot of ball together this year either. I think they're going to be interchangeable. I think it's one of them interchangeable in the sense that you're going to see maybe 2 out of 3 play most nights. I don't think the Lakers are going to do that. With the type of guys that we have, Russell Westbrook and LeBron James ain't going to be looking to take off games like that. The way they're wired, they're not load management guys. You got to deal with them every night. And because of it, they're going to be getting that synergy that comes with playing as a trio. That's going to get them that chemistry that they need. You know, that's more reps in theory for me than I think the Nets are going to have. And yes, did the Nets prove that they can play unselfish last year? Absolutely. Did they prove that they could do it in pressured situations? Did they prove that they're not going to resort back to their old ways in pressured situations? They showed us they could do it last year. It took a lot to do it last year. Can they do it some more? Or will there be opportunities for us to see, not opportunities, it's the wrong word, or will there be instances where we'll see them resort back to old ways? You got to understand. James Harden played this role amazingly last year. But he's been playing the ISO role for 8 years. The mentality to come in was to come in and sacrifice and win a championship. They didn't. Now he has to do it again. You see what I'm saying? Now you got to tell those same guys who were making sacrifices offensively, who worked each other into the equation in the rare times when they played with one another. But most of the time, they didn't even force each other to do that because they would never play in the same games. You see what I'm saying? Now you're asking them to come back out here a whole season, 82 games plus playoffs, and do that again. Everybody's just assuming they're going to see it again, but I know who these players are. Kyrie Irving's a dribble guy. James Harden, dribble guy. KD is usually a guy who's best taking more shots than anybody on the team, no matter what the situation is. You're better if he's taking more shots. And a lot of times that doesn't happen because of the type of players that he's played with outside of Golden State, of course. So, I like I said, we've seen it, so we assume we're going to see it again. But what I know is tendencies tend to rear their ugly heads over time if you're not finding success. Stuff gets pressured. You know what I mean? Guys tend to resort back to what it is that they ultimately do naturally. Not what they have to train themselves to do to make it work right now. And that's my concern with the Nets. I don't think people see that part coming. But my thing is, They didn't have to do this for 82 games last year plus playoffs. They only had to do it for like half a season, and then you remove a lot of games because they didn't play together. So my thing is, are they going to use that same formula again this year? Masking the fact that they don't seamlessly fit as well as they want us to think they do. Because the truth is, they be playing my turn, your turn with games, not possessions. That's how the Nets do it. Because they know they don't fit. They know they don't fit. So they need to have a Kyrie game, James Harden game, and KD can fit with either one of them. It doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? I'm not sure the Brooklyn Nets meshing together isn't just an illusion based on the fact that they pick and choose what games they played together. Now, a lot of times that didn't necessarily fall into them choosing it. That's not necessarily always the case because it was injury issues, of course, with James Harden and Kyrie Irving had some personal things, so they were out, right? It wasn't like they were just saying, no, I don't want to be here. But I don't know that. All I see is them missing games. Now, why they're missing games, how that's going about, all I can go by is what I see. And what I see is my turn, your turn. My turn, your turn. As to where the Lakers, we ain't going to be doing that. We can't afford to do that. Because Westbrook is a non-shooter. We have to get synergy. We have to learn him. We have to learn each other. And then we have to try to incorporate that into a way to beat everybody else. We can't afford to do what they do. What they do, they can do because everybody's fluent. Everybody shoots the ball so well. Everybody scores like the wind. So they're able, in theory, to just step on the floor and play well with one another. But I'm telling you that may not be the case once they start running some real competition, for which they didn't have to face healthy. They didn't have to face that. So that's my thing. You know, they when they had to go into the Bucks situation, they were down 2 stars. There wasn't no way they was just going to beat them with just KD. But if James Harden was out there, Kyrie Irving was out there, do I think they win? Of course I think they win. What would be required for them to win? For all of them to continue to make sacrifices and do things that are outside of the norm. Would they have done it all the way through the playoffs? Most of us think they would. But what I'm telling you is this is a different season. And the teams that they're going up against are built to beat them. Last year, teams had to react to them putting their team together during the season. Some people knew that it was possible. Many people thought it would be possible that the Nets would form. But we didn't have them. There was no planning for them necessarily because there was no guarantee they were going to actually be it. People were planning to beat us. People were building a team to beat AD and Bron. They weren't building a team to beat that 3-headed monster that shoots the ball and scores. And now, this team that we just built is built with defending them and outscoring them in mind. How they gonna face a team that is strategized to beat them? Because we saw how Cleveland handled that when the Warriors were formed. That was rough. That's what we are. We are their Warriors. That's what the Lakers are. We are built to beat the Nets. So my thing is, yeah, y'all be able to do all that y'all being able to do. If it works out, hey, a betting man is probably going to bet you do figure it out because of the type of scoring players that you got. But that you do is important. That you continue to show that sacrifice. Harden has to continue to be that passer. He can't revert back to the old Harden. Kyrie Irving has to be able to give up the ball even though he may have an easy possession to score because that's what's best for the betterment of the team and he can score in every possession. Like these are the type of things that they're going to have to do to make themselves unpredictable. Otherwise, that my turn, your turn stuff, yeah, that doesn't work in the playoffs. They got to be team ball. And when I look on that Nets team, after those big 3, you got your Joe Harris, you got your talented youngsters that are a few years away, and the rest of that bench, got some guys. They didn't do as good a job as putting together their 1-year guys as we did. Nah, they didn't. They got some guys, but nah. Blake Griffin, Patty Mills, James Jones, nah, that ain't gonna offset the fit of these collective players that the Lakers put on that floor. So my concern with the Lakers particularly is the athleticism in the forward spot. I keep saying that. We are going to have nightmares going up against talented guys like Zion, Giannis. Those are the type of players who are going to have a good time against us. BI, any of those threes, those guys that play small forward, power forward, but are lengthy, can create for themselves, take it off the dribble. Those are the players that are going to give the Lakers trouble. So that's why I want us to go after a guy, even though he's priced way above us. If he would be willing to take a pay cut, he would fit our team and complete us perfectly. Is a guy like Kelly Oubre, because I think we can throw him at the 4. Even though I prefer him at the 3, we can put him at the 4. And he's athletic and wiry and quick enough that we could throw in front of those guys. I don't expect him to have success, but he'll have a hell of a lot more success than a guy like Carmelo Anthony. He'll have a hell of a lot more success than you'll have AD trying to guard those guys and take care of the center and make sure he's on for the offense. I don't want AD being tasked with guarding Zion. He's going to get in foul trouble and he's going to have to sit down. That's what ends up happening there. He's as amazing as a defender as he is, you need him for your overall team defense because we suck everywhere else. So you don't want him taking on crazy assignments alone. See what I'm saying? You want to keep him off of those assignments. And right now, we don't have anybody to put on him. Bron, I don't want him on those guys. I don't want Bron guarding any of those people. You understand what I'm saying? Bron is a fantastic defender when he wants to, but he's in year, almost 20 or something like that? You don't want him, 18 I believe? You don't want him guarding Zion. You don't want him having to put his body on Juju. You don't want that. Not to say that Oubre is going to be guarding those guys, but what I'm saying is you put Oubre out there and at least you can say, hey, that's an athletic player. He's disposable as it pertains to our roster. If he gets in foul trouble, it's not going to kill us. Like, that's what a luxury like that would provide the Lakers. You know what I mean? So, doesn't seem realistic to me. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Even when I made the video speaking about Kelly Oubre, I knew that was not realistic. But at this stage, the Dennis Schroeder situation isn't resolved. Assuming that it does get resolved, I don't think we can get a Buddy Hield, but he will have an open roster spot. So that would be a position for someone to take a pay cut, whoever it may be. They'll come in. What I hope is that they're like Kelly Oubre, and what I see is that a waiver wire right now doesn't really have anybody out there but him in that way. That's why I'm saying we need him. But I don't think we'll get him. So at this point, it's like we're running with what we have. So that's going to be our weakness. We're not guarding those dudes. They're going to eat, and they're going to eat a lot. And that could hurt us. That could be a death blow in certain situations, especially if injuries start to bite. So, I'm not sitting here saying the Lakers are a super team. I know a lot of people are saying that. We are not. We are not. We are a contender. Maybe even the leading contender in the Western Conference. But a super team? Nah. Nuh-uh. And the reason why I know that to be true is because there's too many young teams out there that we're going to have trouble with. There's too many young teams that are going to be difficult for us to have any shot of guarding. That's what the good thing is. Those teams are not going to be the better teams that we have to face, that we should be able to beat everybody else. But I do worry about teams that ain't no good in theory, but have a lot of athleticism and youth all over the roster. Those are the guys that concern me. So, it's one of those things where I say, Lakers did a fantastic job. You got to just deal with the holes in your game. When you got 3 superstars, you just got to, build the best you can. And I think we've done A+, A++ in that area with a roster spot and maybe some money left over still. So, hey, Brooklyn, Big 3 got to stay healthy and they better play well together. That's all I got to tell y'all. Do most people believe they'll do it? Yes, but they'll have to do it. They'll better execute it. They better get it done. Because if they don't, Anthony Davis can go for 60 on them. It's just like we can't guard power forwards with athleticism. They have no answer for bigs like Embiid and our guy AD and so on and so forth. Those type of players are going to eat and eat good against the Brooklyn Nets, and that is not a good thing. DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, that ain't going to get it done. You want KD guarding those guys? No, sir. They don't have an answer. There's going to be one of them youngsters that they picked up. That power forward they got, I believe his name might be Johnson or something like that. That's going to be the guy that they're going to throw on a guy like AD. Man, let me tell you something. That's not a good thing for you, Brooklyn. Ain't a good thing for you. You do not have any answer for crazy talented bigs. None. So while everybody's just penciling Brooklyn in as the champions, all right, they got some holes in their defense that people aren't going to even mention because they were so bad defensively till they can't be as bad as they were last year. But they got some holes, believe you that. They do. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, man. I'm not going to change my pick right now. I still think Brooklyn is in the catbird seat as it pertains to a 7-game series with us. I'll stick to that until we get us a power forward, somebody like that who we can keep from putting our superstars on their superstars. If we can do that, I think we'll be good shape, but I don't see us doing that. So that's what I got, man. My name is BDO44. I'll continue to break this thing down. I'm going to try to psych myself into picking the Lakers before the end of the season. Know that. I will. I know I will. But as of right now, I still don't see us quite there yet. But Brooklyn better play perfect. They better play perfect. That's all I got to say. BDO44. I'm out.